All right, everybody. I know this has got the weird voice on it, so we're going to go ahead and get straight into the music. I hope you enjoy it and enjoy the piano and the guitar and everything else. And then we'll talk a little bit after it's done. Thanks very much for stopping by, and I hope you enjoy this. All right, everybody. Let's go ahead and just chill this out for a second. All right, let's turn off the God voice and let's get out of here. We're going to go straight into our main scene right here. I'm going to take this guy off. You know, part of me really just enjoys, talking about, ideas and just jumping right into the ideas. I really want to. I want to talk about all these things that have to do with AI and augmented intelligence. Unfortunately, I have to give you guys some background on who I am. Here, let me turn this on for a second. Come on, turn on. All right, give me a second. Set this up. That's a little better. How's that? All right. So, even though I have like a lot of this weird stuff, I'm still new to OBS. I'm still trying to get this whole thing underneath my belt, and getting into a tempo that I can do the intro into the opening and have everything set up the way that I want to, and not have it like overbearing, like in your face, or that I get all the levels right, or that I have my face close enough to the microphone. For a big chunk of my life, my face close to a microphone didn't matter, So, I just wanted to come in here and sort of point out like what this is and how I have this particular room set up for you guys to understand a little bit about me. And I hope things sort of pop off to you like, hey, that's not normal, and that's not normal for symbols to put up unless you had a particular style of life. I did have a particular bizarre life that had to do with being a Boy Scout, being an Eagle Scout, right? A lot of people are like, oh, there's that Boy Scout. There's the guy who's going to do the right thing no matter what. And I'm like, yeah. And then I took that into becoming a Mormon missionary, which was, just as hardcore in keeping yourself to a particular standard. Right around, 9/11, 2001, I was actually in southern France on that mission when that hit. And I came home and I left that right away. I didn't want to be a part of that. And I knew that from that moment on, what it was just a multi-level marketing scam to take money from people who didn't know any better and who couldn't cope with this reality and who wanted a coping mechanism. That's all these people were really selling. And it is a salesman thing. I mean, everything down to the very fundamentals of how it persuades people to open their wallets and give them 10% of whatever is asked of them. So I'm not here to bash Mormons. I've been accused so many times of like, you're anti-Mormon. I was like, I'm not anti-Mormon. I'm just going to call it what it is and walk away, right? But don't sit there and pee on me and tell me it's fucking raining, right? And I sort of had that transformation again. Like once I left Boy Scouts, I left it. It was gone. It was a time that was over, sort of like kindergarten. You don't go back to kindergarten. And so Mormonism was like that for me, where it's just like it was a kindergarten. It was a baby step into the world of religion, philosophy, and theology. And then I joined the military because I really did. It was a way out. It was a way out for me, and I felt like I needed to move on. And unfortunately, in most cults, not just the one Mormonism provides, is you do get shunned, shamed, and ostracized by your family for not adhering to their standards. And unfortunately, my family still looks at me as this horrible person that can do no right. Like, for example, I could jump out of a burning building holding 2 babies underneath my arm and saving the world from a nuclear disaster, and my parents and my entire family will still say that I'm going to hell. And I've started to see that same cult-like trend in, not in the military, but I mean, military is part of it, but in the American culture itself. The cult and culture come from the same place. But when I was in the military, I got out in 2016, right before your reality TV show host took office. And I just, I did one of those LA things where it's like, I can't even. And I got out. I left. I said, hey, I want to move somewhere. I want to do tattoos. I want to, talk shit. I want to play piano. And that's what I did. I moved to Portland shortly after. Portland, Oregon, and it was an eye-opening experience, that's for sure. Like, I had never really spent too much time around liberal-minded people, and when I saw it, I didn't mind it, because I was like, dude, you guys are just here to progress ideas. the vast majority of your ideas are horseshit, though. And like 95% of most liberal ideas are just dog shit. But when they do bring something to the table that actually works, man, it changes the world. It really does. It changes the freaking world. And that's why I'm here. You know, when I joined the military, I became what's called a cryptologic linguist, where I learned modern standard Arabic along with learning all of French. And then they came to me and they said, hey, would you like to learn another language? I said, sure. We'd like you to learn ones and zeros. I'm like, okay. So I went off to Biloxi, Mississippi, and I learned network engineering, network administration, how to build things from the ground up. You know, it's not just go in and sit at a help desk and answer phone calls. It was like, hey, here's your servers, here's your RAID system, here's how you build it, you know. And unfortunately, it was a shifting scene where it was constantly like every generation, like we're talking every couple months, somebody, you know, a new set of people would come in from, you know, the training classes, and they would have a whole different set of training, a whole different set of ideas on how to do this bigger, better, faster, to the point where we could really we didn't even need a SATCOM situation anymore. We could really just go out with a laptop and, you know, tunnel protocol into other people's stuff. And it was easy. We could piggyback the network now that it had been established across the world. And so from that vantage point, from that perspective, you know, I was just like, I could have got out, went and got a contracting job making six figures. I wanted to have nothing to do with that world anymore. Not because I don't find it interesting, but because it is just as bad as any other corporate system that will eat you alive. They will eat you alive if you do not get on all fours and take it up the ass when they tell you to. And I was just done doing that. So I got out, like I said, moved to Portland, started attending schools because I wanted to study something else. And I started studying, you know, ideas of psychology, but from a historical perspective, like where and how it came into being, like why do we have a certain group of people that are constantly in charge of the narrative? I wanted to know why that was and why the military was constantly told to be the smartest while simultaneously being told to shut the fuck up all the time. Like, think about it today. You are not allowed to go talk to your military. You're not allowed to go, and even if you're married to that military member and you go up to them and start asking, it's like, hey, what do you think about this situation in America? They really are ordered not to talk about it. Like, you're ordered not to bring it up. Actually, we have briefings that have to deal with telling us that we are not allowed to engage in any type of political activity in uniform. And so anytime you see some of these people that says, hey, I'm the U.S. military member, or I'm this, or I'm that, notice how they will always follow it up with, oh, this person just got punished for talking. Because that's what the UCMJ says. It's like, you have to understand, you have the military world and then you have the civilian world. In the military world, you have a whole different set of rules, a whole different law that you have to abide by. And one of them is you do what we say no matter what, without questions. And it's sort of frustrating because when you have superiors that you are vastly more intelligent than, it becomes a very hard situation to navigate. And you have to be political. You have to be bureaucratic. And it's what's frustrating about it is you're in this world where you're looking down the barrel of you have to act now and you have to act appropriately, and you're dealing with somebody who got their degree in underwater basket weaving, yelling at you in the ear to just make the thing work. And you're looking at them going, dude, you couldn't do my job on your best fucking day, asswipe. You know, but I'm going to get to it, and I'm going to get this done. This whole crack the whip thing is the real reason that I said, hey, I'm glad for what I did and the people that I worked for and the people that I worked under. Some of them were great and some of them were grade A assholes. But why am I doing this today? What's the point of this stream? Why am I here? I'm not here to bitch about the military. I'm not here to bitch about the bad things in this life. What I'm really here to do is sort of say, I think something is coming, like a technological advancement, in a way that you can't possibly imagine. And it's going to affect our world in such a way that we will look at it as an industrial age style event. And I've even thought about this earlier today. I was like, why not even say, people say AI stands for artificial intelligence. I'm like, that's bullshit. It should stand for like augmented intelligence, or what I like even better is automated industrial age. right? Like it should be AI age. So, and the reason that I advocate for that is because I look at my politics. I look at the politicians that I've seen my whole life, and they're all fucking buffoons. Every single. I don't care if they're Republican or Democrat. And one other thing that you need to know about me, I've never voted in the United States, political system. I think it's beneath my intellect to do so. To quote South Park, to vote between turd sandwich and a giant douche is just an insane thing. And then unfortunately, when you say you don't want to do that, people really do. They do the same thing that they do in the other cults that I've had to observe. And that is they shun and they shame and they ostracize you and they tell you how horrible you are for not participating in the system. And it's like, dude, how can you, out of one end of your mouth, thank me for my service like a fucking robot, and then out of the other end of your mouth go, hey, how dare you not do that thing that we've all been programmed to do? I was like, because I can recognize a fucking program. I spent my whole life doing it, right? I know when you're getting fucked in the ass psychologically. And so that's sort of what today is about. Today we're going to talk about the brain, and we're going to talk about psychology, and we're going to talk about a little bit more why we sort of enjoy, maybe. I think enjoy is a very excessive word. We enjoy chaos. Like it gives us a part of our personality. And we're going to look a little bit at Rick and Morty. I was watching Rick and Morty with my son yesterday, and my son was born 2 weeks ago. So if that makes you laugh, then laugh at the irony of that. I'm 41 years old, and I just had a kid. And up until this point, up until I started this stream within the same 24 hours that my son was born, because I just felt this overarching idea of, and this push. I like to call it the push. Other people call it the Holy Spirit. They call it, their intuition. They call it this. But I felt this just, pulling effort to say, hey, you need to say this for other people too, because there's a lot of people out there that don't have your mindset, and they don't have the ability to tell the cult followers to go fuck themselves. And so if you're here and you're going, hey, vote Republican or vote Democrat, I'm going to sit there and say, dude, why are you voting for an outdated system? This would be like you standing in front of the iMac store, waiting with everybody else to get the new iPhone, and you're demanding that they give you the very first version of Apple, Apple Macintosh. You're going, nope, that's what I want. That's what I want. Yeah, it's out fucking dated. Your democracy is so outdated, it's not even funny. And that's what I talk about on this channel, because I know one day my kid's going to ask me, he's like, Dad, you knew all this stuff. Why didn't you tell anybody? And I was like, I tried. I did. I went to the politics section of Twitch, and I said this. I said, your system is outdated. And it's outdated so that the people that have been using that system for as long as they've been using it can continue to use that system to fuck with your banks, to fuck with your pharmaceutical world, to fuck with your food, to fuck with your environment, and they will continue to do so because we aren't collectively saying thank you for your service. Your service is no longer required, because we have tools that can be automated to allow for this to actually happen, to come into existence. And before you go, oh, I'm talking crazy or I'm talking fantasy, realize that I'm just talking in the realms of innovation, right? And I think that this is an innovation that should have been happening a long time ago. I'm not here to emotionally disturb you or to get in your head and make you feel bad about where you are with your political acceptance. But for me, the politics that I see today, especially out of America and American-run styles of democracy, they're only there for one reason, and that is to pad the pockets of the people in the politics, in the government, right? So when I say the words they, right, and I'm told that I'm a part of the government, that my vote counts, I do not believe you. And there's a big reason for that. The big reason is every politician in my lifetime has come from an industry that has been a practiced liar, right? I don't just name the politician, just name the president that has took office and didn't come from either, career politician, businessman, lawyer, or actor in the last 40 years. So I'm just going, these are all practice liars, and they also don't have any problem lying directly to your face and walking away. They have no problem with that at all. And so I'm not,
no different than a lawyer does. A lawyer will sit there and lie straight to your face, knowing that there's other options available that could be better for you, but will lie straight to your face so that he can keep you on the hook to make money off your ass. A businessman will do the same. He will know that there's a better offer out there, but he needs that money, so he will lie to you to get that deal, right? He will navigate your mindset to make sure that you only go to them. Okay, and what is an actor? Come on, I don't need to explain all these things to you. An actor will do whatever you ask them to do because that's their thing. That's what they want to do. They want to act the part, right? So I'm not sitting here saying that America is the worst thing in the world. I'm saying that your politics are outdated, but I also want to be able to say this with a full rounded understanding. And before I do that, I need to put on my spook hat, because spook hats are necessary for this level of understanding. I'm not here to tell anybody not to vote for something or to vote for anything. I'm here to say you should stop voting altogether and try to organize around more of a company, right? Now, I know that sounds weird. I know that sounds odd, but it seems to me, just to me, that would be the best solution. That instead of swearing allegiance to the United States of America, for which it stands, realize where people are pouring their voluntary money, not the stuff that's getting stripped of them by them, via the tax system, right? You have Amazon out there, you have Google, you have the Microsoft, you have these companies that have way more power than even your government does, and they could shut it down within a day if they wanted to. Like I think it was probably about a year ago or so, maybe a year and a half ago, that Facebook shut down for like 6 hours, and the whole world was like, holy shit, what the fuck's going on? Imagine if all of a sudden Microsoft sent out a quick update and, everything was just frozen overnight. Everything what we're used to, streaming, things like that. And I'm not talking about holding your world hostage. I'm just saying they have the same political clout as, say, for somebody with their finger on the nuclear weapon. It's like, hey, you better do what we say or I might do this thing to you. And, I mean, please realize the reason I think about this is because for a big chunk of my life, I had to think about it. So if someone's out there going, oh, it's conspiracy of this and conspiracy of that, I was like, yes, conspiracy is a part of operational risk management. It's part of thinking and holding people accountable, including your superiors. The problem with most people is you're never taught about the fear of authority. You're never taught to surpass it and say, no, sir, there are regulations and there are laws that you are not allowed to bypass. Unfortunately, we have another problem in our society, and that is this stranglehold that valuable information via the media is being given. Like we really are looking at a poisoned well. So my remedy for that, and the way that I tell people, is like, look at your old stories, look at your values, look at your morals, look at how things came into your existence, where you knew what integrity was, where you knew what being trustworthy meant. Like, even though I don't have anything to do with Boy Scouts anymore, there are ideas that came from that world that I can't find any educational system today that will put the same values out, right? Even though I cannot stand the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, right? There is a form that they put out, that they have a standard that they expect from their young people as well as their elders. And if someone's not abiding by it, they have an accountability issue. And then they are shamed in front of everybody. And the sad part is when it came to that world, the superiors were not being held accountable to the same standard. There's a point where the superiors will start to lie, cheat, and manipulate the system, always for their best benefit. So, like I said, I'm not here to tell people to not be religious, not anything. I'm just saying, go outside, look at a bigger picture, and see what you're looking at. When it comes to how your mind works, realize that there are a lot of positive benefits that you can learn from this, but you don't have to stay in it. Just like kindergarten, there's a lot of positive benefits from going and being around people with the like mindset as a kid, right? So you can get, acclimated to being around other people. We've all been around those people that just don't know how they're so introverted that it causes them physical pain and everybody else in the room physical pain. Like an internal pain, like, oh my gosh, that person feels so awkward that it just sort of, that vibe just comes off of them. You can smell it, you can taste it. And so the reason that I'm saying that, yes, these things were important, but at the same time, I will never go back to them, all right, unless I'm just going back there to pull out the beautiful moral that I got from it. And the reason that I'm saying all this is to build up to how you are being psychologically used today by your media via your government. It is a way to make you constantly think, why is this person in charge when they fuck up that many times? It's because they want to give you the idea that someone else is going to take care of it. They want to make you feel like it's someone else's job to implement it. You know, so that way you're always in that limbo. You're always paying attention. You're always like, oh, what's going to happen next? I mean, look at how you glued to the television, glued to your cell phones people are today. Like, the only reason that I'm in here is because this is the new public square. This is the new, you know, it used to be like people would go to the bars and they'd get together and they'd be like, hey, man, what do you think about this bullshit that's going on in this country? Right? And then you'd have an upheaval, and then you have, you know, a riot. Nowadays, people just watch it, and if you want to riot, oh my gosh, it's almost like they can just program it, and they can say, let's say these things and make sure that these people are watching, and we'll get a riot within days, like probably within minutes, right? If they're all in the same place at the same time, we can control the riot. And it's fascinating to be able to look at it from that standpoint, to see how you could use your technology to really screw over your people. And I'm not saying that to say, oh yeah, this is exactly what they're doing. I'm saying that to say there's also the reverse of that, where you could use this technology to severely help your people. And in that idea, I want to go over to another scene that I had made. I was, like I said earlier in the show, I was watching Rick and Morty yesterday with my kid, and even though he's 2 weeks old, you know, it's just so much fun to just chill and watch cartoons with your kid. I just don't know if for people who are out there that have kids, I just say, dude, just chill with your kids. It's something I really wish I had more time with my parents to do. So let's go over here real quick. I want you guys to see this. This is the last episode of Rick and Morty, and it's about dinosaurs. I'm just going to give you a prequel to this because I'm not going to play the whole thing. This is about 3 minutes into the show. And I'm going to play about 2 minutes of it, because you basically have the dinosaurs show back up, but they're godlike beings, and they're about to question all the leaders of humanity, and then right after that, just fix everything for them. I just want you guys to watch that instead of looking at this as dinosaurs from Rick and Morty, in your mind, try to replace the dinosaurs with AI and understand that that's the exact same way that I see the augmented industrial age fixing everything as long as we can replace our government.
She's extinct, and Earth now in the care of you guys.
When we left, you were basically squirrels.
Well, we've come a long way, and we've buried a lot more than nuts.
We've evolved past non-constructive criticism, so let's agree you've done your best.
You're still alive, but surely there was some point between gunpowder and something called Amazon Prime that you folks had to think, are we supposed to be running a planet? Wouldn't we rather make Marvel movies? How many Marvel movies have you made?
29 and 14 more on the way.
See, you love doing that, and we love helping new life forms get their footing. So now that we're back, we can respectfully take it from here.
Now, hold on. If you've seen Endgame, you know invasion is not something Earth takes lying down.
This is not an invasion. Besides, wouldn't you like to lie down?
Oh, you must be exhausted. Put your feet up. Get more tattoos. Finish rounding out this Ant-Man character.
Think of it like your Earth concept of vacation, except permanent.
I think I speak for all world leaders when I say that the poor people would just murder us if we made you leave, so... welcome home, dinosaurs.
Oh, I could use a vacation.
Should we nuke them?
I'm on vacation, Curtis.
Well, you...
So I want you to pay attention to that line by the military aspect, where he leans over and he's like, hey, let's do something to make sure that we maintain the power. And the first thing that the military guy does is like, dude, I'm on fucking vacation. I'm not working for you anymore, because in comparison to the politician, the honor bound and the duty bound general is like, go fuck yourself. I've been waiting for this my whole fucking life to go put my feet up. And so I think not only is that hilarious and funny, but it sort of sets up the whole thing as the only reason that this politician wants this is because his power is threatened. And that's the only thing he cares about. Now, once again, look at the dinosaurs, that are these godlike beings as your godlike technology, as AI, and watch what happens to the world, all right? And then watch what happens to the human. I mean, it's so on the money, it's hilarious.
We leaned into this fast.
Suniceratops, Elvisaurus, Bambiraptor, Erectopus, Dracorex, Hogwartsia, Gorgiosaurus, Volcanodon, Serraniops, Puyangosaurus. Those are real dinosaur names.
I can't even pretend to feel useful in a game. This is how humanity's story ends? Relieved of duty and sat at the kids' table?
I gotta respect these dinosaurs. They dominated a whole species just by calling its bluff about wanting more free time.
That is right there. It's like if AI came into just a simple sentient understanding that all of us have one commodity that can't ever be bought, and that is time, right? If AI figured that out and did exactly what this did, you would have people like this person, like Beth, that's the person who's playing this character, whining that she can't go save horses because all the horses are now saved. They don't have jobs anymore because they don't know what to do with their free time. So I wanted to watch. There's only like one more minute of this, and then I'm gonna turn it off. So
Even dominate us because we're not worth a fight to them. We've become biological Tyler Perry movies.
All they've done is help.
We didn't need their help. We were not the problem. This house recycles. They sorted at the trash facility.
What the F? My dance videos are getting like 0 likes now.
Oh, yeah, the dinos kicked pedophiles off TikTok.
Great. So now I'm broke?
You don't need money anymore.
So what's this for now? Phone calls?
Ugh. Oh, come on, Dad. You don't hate this too?
Why would I? I was already doing what I wanted. I do think it's kind of funny that you're all basically Jerry now.
Fuck.
all right. So if you know anything about Rick and Morty, you'll know that Jerry is just he's the guy who's the callback guy. He's the normal guy out of everybody there, and he's so normal it's painful to watch. And so, like I said, the reason that I wanted to play that was to sort of just give you guys just that little scene to say, hey, let's look at this as what would happen if AI were to come out like tomorrow, and you looked at your phone and you're like, hey, you started getting these news articles that saying, hey, everything's fixed, everything's done. There is nothing more. There's nothing more to do. You would all of a sudden, and even later on in the show, they end up fixing something for one of the main characters, who's Rick, and Rick just loses it. He's just like, don't you fix my stuff for me. That's my stuff, right? And my stuff needs to be fixed by me, otherwise I don't grow. And there's going to be this new equilibrium that's going to smash into the human psyche where we don't know what happens, right? Because we're being observed at this level, and we don't know what happens when all of a sudden everything is given to us basically free. Like imagine if you just had a free thing for Amazon, and all of a sudden anything you want, any experience you want would just show up at your doorstep. And I would say we could easily take that one step further and say, if this takes off the way that I feel is being forecast in almost every single technological advancement that I'm looking at. Like when someone says, oh, I work in the tech career field and I don't see this happening, I was like, then you're not extrapolating, bud. Like, did you not see your cell phone go from the size of a building to something that fits in your pocket? Did you not see that? Because that happened in my lifetime, man. Right? We're talking about the ability of everything, not just going nano. We're talking about how you perceive reality itself is going to fundamentally change. Right? And just like this show, just like what just happened, how they saw reality itself, fundamental change, and they were start to, remark like, dude, I thought I had a purpose. I thought my job, like for Beth, she's like, I thought my job was to be a horse doctor. Right? And then even for Rick, where he's like, dude, I thought I was supposed to be the universal God mind and be the smartest man in the universe. And all of a sudden he's not. So what is this going to end up being? I was like, I don't know who's going to do it first. But I know that when it does happen, when it finally kicks off, us as humans, we really are. We're going to have to ask if we want to hang around here anymore. I mean, if all of a sudden, the best way I could put it, if all of a sudden someone knocked on your door and they said, "Hey, I'm Genie. You got 3 wishes. I hope you've been thinking about this. Go." I really have not met too many people that have already got their wishes already figured out. And I mean, you're going to walk into that world. It could easily program a world for you. So when I look at the Mormons and they're like, "Hey, everyone's going to get their own planet in the heaven," I'm like, dude, let's take this one step further. And this is why I'm a student at the University of San Francisco, studying theology, studying religion, something that I really can't stand. But I think it's going to slap us in the face because it's going to ask us, this AI experience, it's going to ask us, what do you really believe? What do you really want to become? If you want to be a Mormon and have that experience, that celestial kingdom experience with versions of your family that all get along with you, guess what? Bakink, you got it, right? Because it could just easily be typed into a computer and given to you and say, no, that's what you asked for. That's what you're going to get, and you're going to create as many worlds as you want to. You'll bliss out, motherfucker, right? And then you'll have people like me that are going, "Hey, you know what? I've said this since I was a kid. And I still, to this day, I don't know what this place is. I don't know how it works. I don't know if it's a simulation. I don't know if it's a flat earth. I don't know if it's a spinning ball out in the middle of nowhere. I don't know. I don't know because I don't have the tools at my disposal to go figure it out. I do have the tools at my disposal to go figure out if a simulation can be manifested that is indistinguishable from this one. I do have tools to arrive at that actually fairly quickly. Just like right now, you can see me as if I'm in front of you. You can hear me as if I'm in front of you, right? When you get the next 3 senses on board with that type of precision, right? I am indistinguishable from my real self right now as you see me. I mean, guys, like when you can actually make the popcorn taste like popcorn without actually eating popcorn, when you can start to manufacture these sensations, we're going to have, I think, another shift, sort of like what we saw with COVID. And the shift was very real. The COVID shift was fascinating to watch because you had groups of people that were either on the side of their government or absolutely against what the official narrative was. And they said, "No, I'm not doing that. That is, fully affront to my personal autonomy. Who gives a shit if you're actually right? I don't give a shit if you're actually right. I want the rest of the information so that I can make a well-rounded decision. I'm not going to be conned into doing something like, I'm at a used car lot. It's like you have to be able to read the writing on the walls. And that's why I'm saying, if you really want to prepare yourself for this psychologically, because it's only going to get worse. The affronts on your mind, and especially the mass of people that are being given the microphone, I guarantee you, if you wanted to make it big on Twitch or YouTube or anything, just go find out what your politicians are saying and repeat that as many times as you can, and you will become a superstar overnight. Right? And it doesn't even matter if you say it in a bad way or a good way. I mean, look at Donald Trump. I mean, the guy's a buffoon, absolutely buffoon, but I don't think there's a day that's gone by where people haven't mentioned his name. It doesn't matter if it's in a bad way. He absolutely knows. He's been in the entertainment industry for so long. He knows that at a fundamental level, all press is good press. Even bad press is good press. And so he's in your mind. His name has been repeated probably 10 times more than Biden's name has been repeated. And so this guy wants to leave his mark on the American world. And I'm going, great, you go ahead and do that, bud, because guess what? If someone, I'm not even saying like me, say, for example, there's a bunch of liberal, people out there that just hate your guts and would just think the world would be such a better place. Imagine that AI genie showing up on your door, on your doorstep. Knock, knock, knock. Hey, you got any wishes for me so I can program your world real quick? He's like, yeah, I don't want Donald Trump in it. That's all you want? All right, here you go. And then you're off. And you could go have a no Donald Trump world, right? But I would like to sort of back up and say, probably give you another way to look at your politics. Now, This isn't that deep. This is not that hard. I say people do this all the time. Like if you're watching right now and you're in the chat or you're hanging out or whatever, just go ahead and just follow my instructions. If you got a phone or you got an internet connection, obviously you do because you're watching this stream. Seriously, just go to Google and type in brain hemispheres. You'll see a bunch of them, and just go to the images section. You'll see a bunch of them pop up, and then you'll see it divided right down the middle in two. Now, we all know that the liberal ideology follows something akin to the right hemisphere of the brain, meaning it's all about fluid thinking. There is almost no strategy that goes along with it, right? It's very emotional, right? It's very satisfied with making impromptu decisions, right? And it's all about the full expressive, innovative world, which is great because this is where your intuition comes from. This is where the vast majority of your discoveries come from, is because you put yourself into this state of mind where you're thinking all the time. You literally are that artist that's throwing spaghetti on the walls, wondering what kind of collage appears to you and what kind of thoughts come out from it. And it allows you to have an innovative process by doing so. And I would say that is your liberal world. That is your progressive mind, right? Like if you look at how these people talk, that right side of the brain says it all. Your right side of the brain is your left politics. Now look at the left side of the brain. It is your conservative politics. The left side of the brain is all about strategy, the tried and true, never changing. Do it, trying, remembering not to reinvent the wheel, right? This is all about, going from A to B in a straight line and not stopping and smelling the roses. Unfortunately, it also has its drawback. The drawback is that because you have no intuition and because there's no new ideas, you don't get to use your tried and true way to get them to come to fruition. And so you stagnate as far as your ability to grow. And we've always seen those people. The military was full of those people that couldn't think past their rank. They couldn't think past their job. Not my job, not my problem, right? Not my, that's way above my pay grade, but they wouldn't even attempt to think past that. They wouldn't even use their imaginative ability to say, well, if I was in charge, this is how I'd do it. They wouldn't even do that. So I would say if you're, like I said, if you're paying attention, notice that you're dealing with heavily right-minded people versus heavily left-minded people. That's what you're dealing with on a psychological brain level. And that lesson, that small little lesson, you will not find anywhere in modern academia, right? It's a simple observation, and that's what I do. I just sit here, I watch things, I observe them, I have a good time, and as you can tell, I play piano. I have my own artistic flair. Like, this is why I set this room up the way that I did. On this side, you have my tried and true. This is my historical world that is not made up. These are the facts of my life, right? And then over here, you have this future self, this future place that sort of embodies the psychological world of the shadow that Carl Jung talks about. The idea that there are two parts of you, the one that wants to peer heavily into the future and the one that has to deal with the present today after you find out what you've seen, right? And that's sort of where I'm at right now, where I'm like, dude, I'm not telling the conservatives to go fuck themselves because they'll never get it right because they won't open their minds enough to get it right. And I'm not telling the liberals to go fuck themselves because they never know how to use the tried and true to bring their shit to actual market, right? I'm not doing that. We need both of them. And we do not have a politician today that will advocate for that. So that's my stance. And that's what I think is happening to you as Americans. And I think we could get past this if we were to start inducting a more AI-centric mindset. Like if we were to say, no, we're going to embrace this new technology so that all of our ships can rise. That like if you don't do this, they are going to continue using its benefits against you. No different than when they got the gunpowder or when they got the printing press or when they got all these things. Like when it said earlier, when the dinosaurs were sitting there just going, hey, somewhere between gunpowder and Amazon Prime, didn't you guys just think like, we're probably not cut out to run a planet? And it's just sort of funny to watch that happen, in a comedic standpoint. This is why I embrace things like South Park and Rick and Morty, because in comedy, which is severely under attack these days, you are allowed to sacrifice the sacred cow. And when the sacred cow becomes what is a woman, which I've gotten that nonsensical so-called documentary like 1,000 times every time I get on YouTube or every time I go anywhere. It's like, what is a woman? What is a woman? And by Matt Walsh, I'm just going, I don't care. I think it should be different for everybody, you know? And so even when you say, hey, they're all biological, I'm like, that's great. Well, what's your version of biology? And if you do have a version of biology and evolution, do you think that we could be moving into a world like the ones that I was telling you about, the ones that where I was like, you can say, oh, you want to be a woman? An actual woman? Here you go. Here's your reality where you can just be that. Right? You want to be an actual man, not just a trans, hey, I'm going to start hacking away at my biological parts. It's like, now you can perceive this entire world indistinguishable, but now you're a man, right? And you can actually do it. There's a concept out there it's fairly simple. It's very simple. And that's why I like this, to talk this way, because I want to keep it simple. If you can't tell the difference between this reality and a virtual reality, then it's real. If you can't tell the difference, then it's real. And I need more people to start understanding that is the place where I think we are all subconsciously and consciously headed towards, even though a lot of people are refusing to see it because they want to be spoon-fed their life goals by their government. They want a never-ending mommy and daddy. And I'm going, AI will easily show up and be your mommy and daddy. And it'll actually make you fall in love with it so well that it will give you everything that you've ever wanted. My response to that is very different than what you'd think. I have no intention of being the first person to jump off that bridge. And nor am I the first person to sit there and be the Pied Piper of other people's dreams. I'm just sitting here going, hey guys, there's a tsunami. Do you want to grab a surfboard like me? Or do you want to drown? Because that tsunami is coming whether you guys like it or whether I like it or not. And these people in your government will continue to use that technological advancement to circumnavigate your intelligence and to continue to dumb you down with the most worthless and perverse distraction you could possibly imagine. So if you are in a world where it's like everyone needs to get a vaccine, or if you're in a world where 9/11 was so horrible and we need someone to protect us from the terrorists, realize that I was part of those worlds in a deeper way than you could ever possibly imagine, and I'm here to tell you it's all bullshit. Every single bit of it is bullshit and I didn't need my military background. I didn't need to go to 10 different universities. I didn't need this massive education that I have. All I simply did was walk outside and look around. That's all I did. And I racked and stacked that my own thing. It wasn't, oh, here's a website. You go check that out. On that website, it'll say what we said. It's like, no, I'm going to use my own perception, not just the ones that are technologically upgraded. Right? And I enjoy doing that. It allows me to be more in the present. It allows me to use something from an old world concept. It's easily said that our ancestors had an easier time living in the present because they weren't inundated all the time with distractions and entertainment. I think that's something, it's a sad thing that has been lost. And I really hope that, there's a place for us to reignite that. But, right now, that's just a hope. I have to sit here and watch the upheaval of, America from outside its borders. Not because I feel like I was, ostracized or shunned, but I was just like, dude, I've seen the pattern in my life of what happens when you tell the mob they're wrong. And right now, the mob is being controlled by, not just people in your government, but people in your government that have access to technology that can control the mob that better than they could ever imagine. So anyway, my name is Tet de Jour. I just had a kid that was 2 years old, and 2 weeks old, and he's 2 weeks old this week. And I want to be able to show him this when he's old enough. I want to be able to say, this is where I was, and this is what I was doing when you were born. And as you get older, I just want you to be prepared. No different than I was when I was a kid. My parents, even though I think they've got their own issues and their own problems, I'm pretty sure I have my own issues and my own problems too. I'm humble enough to say that. But I was prepared. I was given a certain set of standards that if I hold myself to them, I can be a better person without the dogma, without the constant dick sucking to the hierarchy, right? So if you're the type of person that's out there going, hey, down with the patriarchy and realize I'm a patriarch, all right? And if you don't like what I have to say, well, go fuck yourself, right? Seriously, I owe you shit, right? And when we meet, you're the one that has to extend your hand and thank me for my service, not the other way around, all right? I am done being humble for people who would never do anything like what I did for them, all right? And that's where one of my shortfallings is, and I'll tell you about that right now. If you want to push my buttons, just be like, oh, your service was worthless. So I was like, if it was worthless to you, then go fuck yourself. But it definitely wasn't worthless to me. And I plan on making sure that my kid is well educated by the education that I got from the School of Hard Knocks over any other school that I've attended or gotten expelled from. Other than that, you guys have a wonderful day. We're going to go ahead and play an outro. And I think that the world that we're looking at is not as bad as it seems. And I think we have more beautiful things on the horizon than we could ever possibly imagine. And so I'm ready to grab my surfboard, my snowboard, my skateboard, and ride into the future with you guys. If you think I'm crazy, go ahead and give me a follow. If you think I'm nuts, go ahead and just, go and have a great and wonderful day. And just say, hey, man, I saw this nutty guy on Twitch. My name is Ted DeJure. I go by the handle Time Dad Alpha, and I'm the original Twitcher. I will see you guys in the future.